views and opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of Access Fort Wayne, the Allen County Public Library, or any other supporting groups. If you'd like to produce a show, call us at 260-421-1250.
Let me be your lighthouse so I can show you the way. Let me be your shining light, I'll keep you from drifting away. I'm the one that makes you try when...
Hello, this is Patty Hunter, Patty's Page. Welcome to my show. Have we got a surprise for you? A special guest, no less, a friend of mine, State Senator Dennis Kruse. Welcome to my show.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Thank you. You know, I have so many questions and not enough time. So, shall we get started?
Yes, that'll be fine.
Yeah. So, right now, for the health of our Indiana state, how are we protecting ourselves from this COVID-19?
Well, we're primarily doing 3 or 4 things. Number one is we wear masks in appropriate places.
Mm-hmm.
And second is that we have distance. They recommend 6 feet apart from each other. Unless you're with your family or friends, you can be closer together.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you're eating at a table, those people can be close together. And then one of the best additional ways is to wash your hands, they say, with warm hot water and with soap for... Is it 20 seconds, I think? Or
20 seconds.
20 seconds. So washing your hands, having the distance, and wearing the mask are the 3 main things to help protect ourselves from COVID-19.
Also, hand sanitizer.
Hand sanitizer, very good.
Hand sanitizer, yeah.
More and more places have those available.
Yeah. I wish they did. Today, are we getting better in our state's hospitals and old folk homes and stuff?
We are doing much better, and we started out with our nursing homes having, I forget what percentage, but they had almost half the cases of COVID-19 that went into hospitals were from our nursing homes. They're doing better now, so that percentage is going down. Mm-hmm. The hospitals are doing better now. We have beds available. We have the ventilators available now, so we never ran out of them in Indiana, but there were times in certain places around the state where we didn't have as many as we felt comfortable having. So now we have plenty of ventilators. Mm-hmm. We have plenty of hospital beds for COVID-19 patients, and the hospitals are doing better in keeping things clean and sanitary, and the nursing homes are also doing much better job of that. And even though every now and then there's still some that are cropping up, the percentage is down, and the nursing homes are doing much better as well.
Because I have some people that I know are in nursing home, and I worry about them.
Yeah, and one of the things that happens is that a lot of COVID-19 people actually have pre-existing conditions.
Oh.
So when you're exposed to COVID-19, then it hits you harder because of your pre-existing conditions. And I
Weakness.
think 94% of people that get COVID-19 have pre-existing conditions.
Oh.
So if you're a strong, healthy person, if you get COVID-19, it doesn't really generally affect you much.
You survive it.
Yes, you do.
At what stage are we here in this Indiana state? Stage 3 or stage 4 with this virus?
So we have the governor's basically set up 5 stages for the state of Indiana. Mm-hmm. So we started out with stage 1, 2, 3, 4. We thought we were going to go to 5, but we got more cases and more deaths. So the governor said, hold it a minute, we're not going to go to 5, we're going to go to 4.5. So we're in our second month of 4.5, which ends toward the end of this month, September. And, I'm hopeful that the governor will do 5.0, which is basically
soon
back to normal and be able to do things like we did before the COVID-19 came.
So the curfews for this stage, asking you really like restaurants and gyms and offices, working environments?
Yes, so they've limited their hours. So generally they don't like late night hours, and they actually recommend that you close earlier and then take that extra time in the evening and have people come in and clean and sanitize your facilities, especially like a gym and a workout center and restaurants where lots of people gather. They want to make sure it's clean for the next day when they open up. So a lot of the places are closing by 9 o'clock, occasionally 10 o'clock, but very few places are staying open much past 10 o'clock now. Maybe occasional bar or something might be, but I think generally most businesses are closing by 10 o'clock.
Wow, yeah. And for the education of preschoolers up to grade 12, then into universities and colleges, what PPE or personal protective equipment has the state of Indiana school system set up for their students?
So the students primarily are using face mask and your sanitizer that's sitting there in your arm. So they're using sanitization spray and the face mask is the main two things that
Yes.
the kids are using all the way from kindergarten all the way up to college. Now, if I remember right, the kindergarten first graders aren't required to wear masks. I
Oh.
think it starts at second grade.
Oh, okay, I didn't know.
Because the smaller you are, the harder it is for a kid to keep it on. They want to get it off or whatever, and so I think
Yeah,
it's second grade, if I remember correctly. You have to have them, and then college students have to have them as well. And a lot of the colleges now are back on campus. I know several of them in our area. All the students are on campus, and they seem to be getting along pretty good so far. Because generally, a college student, predominant number of them are all healthy people, and so there's very little chance that they would get sick from COVID-19, even if they got it and tested positive. Most of them won't get sick from it, or not very sick at all. If they do have some symptoms, it'd be more like a cold or a regular flu. And
Yeah.
so it's a minute percentage of young people that are dying from COVID-19 or even going to the hospital. I think for sure it's somewhere in the 1/100th or 1,000th of 1% of the
Yeah.
young people actually end up going to the hospital or dying from COVID-19. So it's very slim.
but you have to be careful if you go to university, college, whatever, and you come down with this pandemic, COVID-19. You can't go home, and
They
especially
want
when
you
you
to
have.
stay at the college. They don't want you to go home. They want you to stay and be quarantined for 14 days at the college.
And they check you out periodically, or
They do. Yeah, they test you then to make sure that you're okay then at the end of that quarantine time.
yeah. Now that schools are back in session, it's okay for the kids to go physically to school, or are some still being taught on Zoom?
Well, they're doing the Zoom virtual education at quite a few places right now. More and
Yeah.
more of them are starting to go back to school. So Indianapolis Public Schools, the second largest school corporation behind Fort Wayne Community Schools, they're sending their kids back either this week or next week. And I know a lot of the schools in our area, the kids are back full-time at the building. You do have the option. A parent can opt out from taking their kid back to the school so they can keep them at home if they want to and do virtual learning. So they have the option of virtual learning and in classroom, in the building learning, either one. And that kind of makes it harder on the teachers to try to do both. And so that's why some schools are trying to do all or nothing. But there are a certain number of parents who don't feel comfortable sending their kids back
So
for
they don't-
COVID-19.
yeah.
And so some
Yeah.
of them still want to do a virtual Zoom type education.
What if kids can't afford, the parents can't afford computers?
Well, the school corporations have extra ones, so they actually can give those to the students so they don't have to pay any money for the computer to have it for themselves at home. Some have to go to, like here, we're at the Allen County Public Library.
Yeah.
You could come here where you have good internet service, and you can sometimes they sit outside in a parking lot and do their homework right there by the place that does have a strong Wi-Fi and do your studies then. But they're trying to get as many kids. I think most kids have a computer that they'll give to them if they can't afford it, so they can do their schoolwork and stuff at home and stay up with the rest of the kids.
What about kids who are disabled, like autism or physical, they can't go out? How, the parents have to take time off work to be with their kids because they usually go to a special school.
Yes.
But with this pandemic, how can we help the parents who are not earning and have to try to teach their children special?
That is actually one of the most difficult people that we're dealing with now are kids with disabilities, because you have certain number of those in school. So maybe you have one classroom of 20 of those, or you have two classrooms of 15, and so that they have special ed teachers who are specially trained, and they usually have aides, 2, 3 aides in each of those classrooms. So with COVID-19, if the school's not taking the kids back in the building, which a lot of them didn't here for the first month or so, then the parents have to keep them at home, and that actually prevents, unless you're wealthy enough that you can hire a special teacher to come in and teach your kids at home.
Yeah.
It's expensive to the family. It's tough on the if the mother works and she's going to be the caretaker and help the kids learn while they're home with virtual education for special ed kids is a very tough situation to be in.
So how will we be able to work around that?
Well,
It's
it's a struggle and expensive if you're doing it virtual. Once the kids all go back to school, then you're okay again. They can go back and do their regular education at the school buildings with this regular staff, which is happening more and more.
Yeah.
And that is a local school decision. So whether you go virtual or at the building is a local school board decision.
You would have to reteach them what
You
they
would
missed?
have to, some of them would require reteaching.
Oh my goodness. So this is the new normal?
It is for a while. I hope it doesn't last much longer. I think 6 months is quite a while for the new normal. So I'm very hopeful that maybe the governor will come out with the 5.0 plan at the end of this month, and that people will get back to normal. We can go back to our old normal and not the new normal. That's what I would like to see happen.
So with the media, how can they help?
Well, they have been almost too helpful, if that's possible, but they have been really good at getting all the information out that I think we need and covering it over and over again. Sometimes I think I've heard this 100 times, but I need to hear it 101 times. But the media has been really good in covering this and giving us all the information we need. I really congratulate the media for covering this, overly well. They've been really good at it.
That's cool. Well, basically here in Fort Wayne, our media is excellent.
Yes.
Anyways, with sports, how can we protect our athletes and the onlookers, in the bleachers?
Well, again, it's the local school corporation decision. The IHSAA has said that you can, as far as the governing body of athletics in Indiana, they said you can all have athletic events. So if you allow people or not allow people, that's up to you as a local school corporation.
Yeah.
So most schools here are having their football season in place now, and they're doing a regular schedule.
Yeah.
And some of them allow just the parents and a few chosen people. I think each kid might have 2 people can come.
Bunched
Others
different.
can have 25%.
Yeah.
Others, I think some. Well, I guess is what a local school decides. You could have 50%. I think up to 50% of the stands could be filled with fans if the school corporation think that's safe and good for the community. I don't know how many are up to 50%, but most of them are more like, a couple hundred or maybe up to 25% possibly. But the kids, the athletes themselves are doing very well overall. So it doesn't seem to be affecting them to any extent. Again, if they test positive, they're not getting sick very seldom. There's very seldom as a young person who's a strong athlete, they don't really have very bad symptoms if they get it.
How is our budget?
The budget for the state of Indiana is actually in good condition, not as good as we wanted it. So we had about $2.5 billion, maybe not quite that much, $2.3 billion in a rainy day fund for our state government. And this COVID-19 from March until the end of June, when our year end ended, our budget for the Indiana goes from July 1 to June 30th.
Yeah.
We had to actually take $900 million of the $2.3 billion and use it because our income was less. So the income is down for the state of Indiana, And so we're using some of those rainy day funds to help fund our government. Things are back up now. It's looking better, and things are going back in the right direction now. So hopefully we won't have to drain that other 1.4 billion totally by next June 30th. So I should say positive. I have a positive attitude that things will get better, and the state government budget will look pretty decent by the end of next June.
So, Fort Wayne, it's starting to thrive again.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
great. There, how can we spend? How much? How much? Okay, let me scratch that. How can we spend the much-needed monies for our roads that need fixing?
Well, about 3 years ago, we passed a new state law that increased our gasoline tax 10 cents a gallon, and then it goes
Wow.
up a penny a year for the next 3 years.
Yeah.
So that was an additional, at the time, it was an additional $1 billion a year, which is almost the same amount that we were using. We had about $1 billion in place that we were spending a year in Indiana on our roads. So now we have doubled that. And part of that, the thing that I like is a certain percentage of that goes to the local governments for their streets and roads. So cities and counties are getting the most money they've had from the gas tax in my lifetime, anyhow, by far, to help repair our streets and roads. So I think most cities and counties are doing a better job now in fixing the streets and
about
roads.
time. Our state parks, are they safe to go to? Are they open during the winter time?
The state parks are open year-round, and they're up. We can go 50% capacity. So if 1,000 people normally could come in a day, it's 500 people instead of 1,000. But it's outdoors. It's in the fresh air, and our parks are functioning well, and they're in pretty good condition. I mean, you can always update some of the pavilions and different facilities, restrooms, and things at our state parks. But as far as people that want to just go out and enjoy a trail walk or ride horses in the state parks or whatever, they still have access to all those things and are able to do those things outside, which I think is healthy for us.
I think a lot better if you exercise outside in fresh air, especially with all the people living here in the cities.
It is, and the stronger and healthier we are, and oxygen is a big thing in our bodies as far as being able to live in our physical body. And so the more oxygen you get, the better off you are health-wise, and outside air is better oxygen than inside air. So you should always go outside every day for several minutes to make sure you breathe in fresh air.
Yeah. The playgrounds, can kids play there now? Or?
They can play on the playgrounds. The parks are open, but you have to do the distancing. So if they're not part of your family or your group, then you'd have to try to keep that 6 feet distance from the other kids that you don't particularly know. But no, they're available, and you can get out and have the kids go out and use the parks and the playgrounds.
Oh, cool. Trails around Indiana. Are there a lot of them for people to go walking?
We do have a lot of trails in Indiana. I think Ohio's a little bit ahead of us in trails, but I think right now Allen County has over 100 miles of trail now.
That's cool.
So we have done a good job. We have plans for more. So as soon as the money comes in, we're able to put in more trails.
And they're safe.
In our state and in our community here as well in Allen County. I think New Haven has done a good job with the trails, and Fort Wayne's done an excellent job, and our county has as well. So we have a lot of trails for people to use, and they use them. I mean, a lot of people jog or walk, or mothers push their babies in strollers, and other people ride bikes on the trails, and they're used a lot. Lots of people use the trails, and I think that's another thing to really build your health up.
Anyways, we're worried. I'm worried about the prisoners who have to be incarcerated, especially with this deadly virus spreading. How do you help the prisoners from catching it?
We've had some problems in the prisons, and we've had quite a few prisoners be tested positive for COVID-19. Now, all of our prisons also have outdoor exercise areas, so we encourage our prisoners, maybe even force them to go outside to get the fresh air every day, but they're in close quarters, and if somebody gets it, it's pretty easy to spread in a prison. So if one prisoner gets it, then a lot of times his cell block, say there's 50 in his cell block or 100, then they may spread in that area, so then they have to quarantine that area for 2 weeks, and make sure they all get over it. And again, a lot of the prisoners really don't get overly sick from it, and we're having very few deaths of COVID-19 in the prisons. We have some, but they actually are doing a pretty good job. They're doing better now in cleaning the prisons. I think they're spending more money doing that, as getting more hand sanitizer and cleaning the things. And they have these new deals where you can go spray inside a facility, and it kills almost all, like 99% of all the germs, and it kills COVID-19. So a typical house you can spray for $150 to $200. They come in and spray all over your house, and it kills all the germs and stuff.
And
all
everybody in it. No, sorry.
In a matter of 2-3 minutes, it's over, and you go right back into the rooms.
I'm sorry. I was. Anyways, finally, what would you like to share with my audience to give them encouragement during this pandemic and after?
Well, it's been tough, and I think it's been hard on a lot of families, a lot of individuals, and I think depression is more prevalent during the COVID-19 times. I think a lot of people have stayed home together more, I think ended up fighting more and having more tension in the house, and I think people who had a tendency to maybe rough up their kids and hit them, I think that's probably expanded. So really our emotional and mental health services, I think, have really peaked out. I mean, I think a lot of people are, some of them are not, but there's a number of people seeking those services. And if you need that, you can call 211 on your telephone, and they'll guide you to the services that you need if that's happening to you in your home. But it's actually very important to get outside and not stay in the house all day. And if you just walk up and down the sidewalk or up and down your road or whatever you might do, mow the lawn or do more trimming or just stay outside more, is healthier for you, and it's healthier for your emotions and your mental state as well. So I would encourage everybody to get outside, and I hope that pretty soon, I'm hopeful that the governor will go to 5.0 at the end of this month, and we can open things back up to normal again. And I think that we just need to stay positive and do the best we can under these tough circumstances. I mean, I don't think anybody's ever experienced anything like this in American history in our 230-some years of COVID-19 and having us respond the way we have. We've had these
pandemics like
we've
every
had them
50,
before,
60
but
years?
the government never got involved. This is our first time where we've had the government tell us, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that, you got to wear a mask, you got to do this. And I don't like that personally, but it's happening, and I think the governor's trying to do his best in managing this
to
pandemic.
help us.
And so he's doing what he thinks is the best thing to do, but I hope that we get to the end of this month that we can forget all these government mandates and get back and live our normal life again and let the COVID-19 take its course the way it takes its course.
Well, wow. We have 3 more minutes left, kid. We did good. Answered all my questions. My goodness, I thought it was going to take forever and ever.
Yes.
But you did good. You did a good responder and all that. And I'd like to thank you, Mr. State Senator Dennis Kruse, for coming on to my show.
You're welcome. It's good to be on your show.
I know.
Glad you do it.
So I would like to thank you, and I hope we can have you on again.
Okay.
Because I do enjoy talking with you.
Thank you.
So thank you, Senator.
You're welcome.
And thank you, my audience, for joining in and with this conversation, how we can improve ourselves during this pandemic to stay safe, wear a mask, stay 6 feet apart, and wash your paws, your hands. Thank you. We'll see you next week.
You're always in my heart and every dream. Don't let this time apart give in to all our fears. God will keep us close from up above. So until we meet again, Godspeed.
with us always, and for the rest of all our